Hello everyone, this is Mrs. Pickett. We are going to take notes over lesson 1.3. I went ahead and filled some in just so it would save you some time. So in this lesson we're going to talk about absolute value and order of operations. Hopefully this is a little bit of review for you, and if not, that's okay. We're going to start with absolute value. So absolute value is the distance from 0 on a number line. So any number, how far away it is from 0 on a number line. Now absolute value, when you look at that, the symbol is always 2 brackets. So you have a number that goes inside there. So anytime you see a number inside the 2 straight lines, that tells you it's absolute value. The other thing, I put a little star or an asterisk there. It's always positive, all right? So when you have absolute value, this is important, your answer always ends up being positive, because anytime we're talking about a distance, it has to be a positive number. You wouldn't like say that you went out and ran -3 miles. That doesn't make any sense. So if you're talking about a distance, it's always positive. If we try a couple of examples here, okay, let's do a different color. Let's try green. So if we look, if we're evaluating, so number 1, it's the absolute value of -13. So think about a number line, okay? I'm going to actually draw one up top here just for a minute. So when you have a number line, we're going to put 0 here in the middle. As I move to the right, all right, that would be positive numbers, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And as you move backwards or to the left, that's where you get your negative numbers. So like -1, -2, -3, and so on. So we're looking at how far away it is from 0. So when you have a -13, it would be 13 away, or in other words, the answer is +13, because that's how far it is, and it's always that distance from 0. If you look at number 2, +21, the absolute value is just 21. Pretty simple concept. Don't make it harder than it is. Let's jump down and look at number 5. So on number 5, I have the absolute value of -12, and so that's going to give me a +12, plus absolute value of 15 is just 15. Now to solve this, you actually want to add them together, and so that's going to give you 27. Okay. Let's look at number 10. Absolute value of 24 is 24 minus the absolute value of -15, which is 15. So now I have 24 minus 15. Now if you have trouble with subtraction, I'm just going to show you this. It's okay if on your paper or when you're doing work, write it vertically. If you have trouble on side to side, don't miss points because that's throwing you off. Write it vertically, geez. And then you can just borrow here, so it's 14 minus 5, and that will give you 9, okay? Let's look over here, let's do number 6. Now this, both numbers are inside, so you're going to solve inside the absolute value first, all right? So I'm going to keep my bracket. So 21 minus 17 is going to give me 4. And now I want the absolute value of 4, which is in fact just 4. We'll do one more like that. Let's look at number 9. So I'm going to keep the absolute value sign. 15 minus 23, so it's a positive, or like a small number minus a large number. That's going to give me a negative answer. And 15 minus 23 is going to give me -8. Okay, so now I want the absolute value of -8, which is just in fact 8. Excuse me. All right, if you have questions on that, you can ask me in class time, but let's move on. Let's look at order of operations. So this is when you have to simplify in a specific order. Most of you are probably familiar with the acronym PEMDAS. All right, so I'm going to help you list those out here. So we start with P. That's going to be parentheses. Hopefully I remember how to spell it. It's been a while. There we go. So parentheses, your grouping symbol. So anything inside parentheses or brackets, you would want to start there. Then the next one is E. Hopefully you remember that stands for exponents. Then you can have multiplication or division. Okay, so that's your M and your D. And when you do multiplication, so I'm going to put multiply here. Oops, hold on, can't spell. So I'm just going to abbreviate multiply or divide. And if you have both, you always just work from left to right. So I'm going to put an L with an arrow to R. So if the equation has both a multiplication and a division, you just work from left to right and solve them in whatever order they come. And then the last two for PEMDAS is addition and subtraction. So I'm going to put add or subtract. And then the same thing with this one, because sometimes you can have both operations. Again, you're working from left to right. Okay, so let's look at these couple examples here. Maybe. All right, so in the first one, 13, you can see it's 7, and actually for a minute here, I'm going to enlarge this for you for when we do the example. All right, I'm doing a video and there are people at my classroom door, so you guys are going to have to bear with me for a minute.
I forgot to turn this in.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
See you later. Okay, sorry about that. It was actually one of you guys, so it's all right. So now let's look at the example. I'm going to enlarge the screen here so you can see. Remember, we're evaluating. So I have an addition sign and I have a division. And then when the parenthesis is written right here, all right, that means multiply. So we know that if we look up here in our little note here, just so we can see, multiplication and division has to be solved before addition or subtraction, because that's the order. So I'm going to do the division multiplication first. That goes in order. So it's 7 plus. Now I have to do, well, we have the parentheses. So I'm going to get 54. So we're looking at this part over here. Divided by, I have to do 3 times 2 first, okay? And that would be 6. And then 54 divided by 6 is 9. 7 plus 9 is 16. And then that would be your answer. That's all you're doing. You're just solving the equations. Let's look at number 15. So we do not have any parentheses, but I do have an exponent, so I need to start right there. So I'm going to rewrite everything except the part that I'm changing. So I have 24 minus 4 to the exponent of 2. That means I'm going to do 4 times 4, which is 16. Then I have a multiplication and then addition. So now look what's going on in my problem. I have a subtraction, a multiplication, and addition. So I need to do the multiplication part first. So I'm still going to have 24 minus. So I'm going to do 16 times 3. So 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 1 plus 1, that's going to give you 48. Now I have the subtraction and the addition. Those, remember, they don't matter. They're kind of equal, so you're just going to solve it left to right. So we have 24 minus 48. So that's going to give me, since it's a small number minus a large number, I'm going to have a negative. And then that's going to give me a negative 24, okay, because 48 minus 24, plus 15. So now here's the last step. So I have negative 24 plus 15. Remember, when you have a negative and a positive, you're actually subtracting. So it's like over here on the side, you would be doing 24 minus 15, which is going to give you 9. But then because 24 is the larger number and it was negative, your answer has to be negative. So we would get negative 9 as our answer. Okay? let's look over here. Slide over a little bit now. On 14, I have an exponent. I don't have any parentheses, but I have an exponent. So we're going to start right there. So 17 minus 2 to the 5th. So that means you have to do 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 5 times. All right. If you have a calculator, all right, you can just put that in and do 2 to the 5th power, or if not, multiply it out. But that's going to give you 32. Now we had divided by 4 plus 6. Remember, we're always doing the order of operations. So now it's going to be division next. And you always work with the numbers that are right next to that symbol. So it's 17 minus, I have 32 divided by 4. So I'm solving that right there. That's going to give me an 8. And then I still have the plus 6. Now I'm left with subtraction and addition. So we're going to work left to right. 17 minus 8 is going to give me a 9. 9 plus 6 is 15, and that would be your answer. Okay? And then if we look at the last one here, so this one's the most complicated. So we have parentheses with an exponent in there. So we're going to solve the top part first. So inside parentheses, I'm going to do this exponent, 2 to the 2nd power. That's going to give me 4. So now inside my parenthesis, I have 7 minus 4. So that's a 3 plus 17. All divided by, on the bottom, I have negative 14 plus 2 times 5. Okay. When you have it set up like this, so we still are following the order of operations, but because you have like a numerator and a denominator, you can solve everything in the top using order of operations. Then you're going to solve everything in the bottom using order of operations. And the last step will be able to divide the two or simplify. So in the top, okay, I'm going to get 3 plus 17, that gives me 20. Now on the bottom, I have to do the multiplication part first. So I had negative 14 plus 2 times 5 is 10. Now I can solve the addition part right here. So negative 14 plus 10, that's going to give me a negative 4 on the bottom, okay? Now the last step is then to come and do the division. So it looks like it's a little out of order, but it's just the way it's written, okay? Because you have like a numerator and a denominator. So I would do 20 divided by 4, and that gives me negative 5, okay? So we're going to stop here. Make sure you have these notes copied down. Either you print it out the sheet or in your notebook. And then make sure you check out the Flipgrid response question, and I will see you in class tomorrow. Thanks. Have a great night.